Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're breaking down the ultimate digital choke point, the network firewall. If you're designing secure architectures or just trying to keep external threats out of your network topologies, you know that understanding how these gateways process, filter, and drop packets is absolutely critical. We're going to take the core architectural principles of cybersecurity and translate them right into the deployment strategies that keep our internal systems secure. Let's get right into it.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start by meeting the network gatekeeper. Then look at why we actually need firewalls, break down the four main types, uncover the firewall's blind spots, and finally bring it all home to your personal firewall. Kicking things off with Section 1, meet the network gatekeeper, the ultimate bouncer.
So at its absolute core, a firewall is simply a bottleneck. It sits right between a trusted internal network and the wild, untrusted public internet. The entire security model hinges on this one non-negotiable fact. All traffic, whether it's coming in or going out, has to be forced through this single choke point. To actually survive in that spot, the device runs on a heavily hardened operating system. We're talking a stripped-down kernel, making it virtually immune to penetration itself. Because think about it, if this single appliance falls, your entire internal architecture is completely exposed. That's why it's the definitive line in the sand for any organization's security policy. You can really think of it like a massive, incredibly strict bouncer at the door of an exclusive VIP club. But in our world, it's all about access control lists, or ACLs. By putting this gateway right at the perimeter, network admins centralize all the heavy lifting. Instead of crossing your fingers and relying on hundreds of individual workstations to perfectly evaluate every single inbound packet, you hand that split-second assessment over to a dedicated appliance. It enforces a ruthless guest list, dropping unauthorized data packets way before they ever get the chance to interact with your internal routing protocols.
Moving on to Section 2, why we need firewalls, or rather, how the neighborhood changed.
The whole reason firewalls evolved the way they did comes down to one thing: our network perimeter totally dissolved. Back in the day of centralized mainframes, security was just physical. You literally locked the door to the server room. But as we shifted to local area networks and then blew that up into enterprise-wide wide area networks, that physical boundary just vanished. By the time we hit complete global internet connectivity, man, local, highly vulnerable systems were suddenly facing asymmetric routing and decentralized threats from all over the planet. The shift from those isolated walled gardens into today's chaotic interconnected mesh made a central policy-enforcing gateway absolutely mandatory just to filter out the relentless noise and malice of the broader internet.
That brings us to Section 3, 4 types of firewalls. Let's meet the guards.
When security architects categorize firewalls, they're really evaluating inspection depth. Essentially, how far up the OSI model are they looking when they analyze traffic? This ranges from super basic Layer 3 network checks all the way up to deeply scrutinizing Layer 7 application data. We group these into 4 distinct types: the packet filter, the stateful inspection firewall, the application-level gateway, and the circuit-level gateway. Each one handles that delicate balance between throughput speed and security in a completely different way. Let's start with the packet filter. This is your most fundamental approach, operating mostly at layers 3 and 4. It does a really quick check of the surface-level metadata, stuff like source IP, destination IP, and port numbers. Now, in modern zero-trust architectures, your only acceptable posture here is default equals discard. This means everything is treated as a threat until explicitly authorized, period. Running a default equals forward policy in today's threat landscape is frankly an architectural disaster. It leaves your network completely reactive, and you'd be constantly scrambling to update rules just to catch new malicious signatures. So because those basic packet filters are stateless and can easily get tricked by spoofed packets, we step up to stateful inspection. This actually introduces memory to the gateway. When an internal machine starts a TCP three-way handshake, the firewall actively records the context of that outbound connection, the SYN, SYN-ACK, and ASIC sequence, right into a dynamic state table in its RAM. Then, when external traffic shows up claiming to be the response, the firewall checks that table. If the inbound packet perfectly matches a known established profile, it's allowed in. But if it's unsolicited, or maybe a rogue packet trying to session hijack, it is dropped immediately. No questions asked. Next up is the application-level gateway, which you probably just call a proxy. This pushes security all the way up to layer 7 by essentially creating a complete air gap between your internal host and the external server. Those two never actually exchange packets directly. Instead, the proxy plays the role of a highly secure middleman. It completely terminates the internal connection, aggressively inspects the specific application data for malicious payloads, and only then initiates a brand new connection to the outside world. This deep packet inspection gives you maximum security, but of course, processing all that data takes a massive toll on CPU and RAM, which naturally introduces latency and throughput bottlenecks. Rounding out our 4 guards is the circuit-level gateway, and it operates a bit differently. Like the application proxy, it sets up 2 separate connections to stop direct contact. But once the TCP handshake is validated at the session layer, it just acts as a blind relay. It passes the data segments right through without doing that deep payload inspection. Why do this? Well, an admin might use this architecture for highly trusted internal traffic, like an outbound backup stream going to a known, secure server. By skipping the deep baggage check on data we already trust, the firewall saves massive amounts of processing power, so it can focus on scrutinizing the really untrusted inbound threats. All right, moving to Section 4, the firewall's blind spots, what the bouncer can't see. A totally rigid perimeter defense creates what security folks like to call a soft, chewy center. If an attacker bypasses that hard outer shell, your internal network is wide open for lateral movement. Think about it. If an employee unwittingly hooks up to compromised public Wi-Fi at a coffee shop, picks up a nasty payload, and then walks right into the office and plugs into an Ethernet port, well, your perimeter firewall is completely irrelevant. The threat just walked right past the choke point. Whether we're talking about shadow IT, improperly secured local wireless access points, or just an insider threat, perimeter gateways are totally blind to any traffic that never actually crosses their threshold. Which leads perfectly into our final section, Section 5, your personal firewall, guarding your own room. To tackle that lateral movement and cover the perimeter's blind spots, our architecture has to rely on defense in depth. This is where the host-based firewall comes in. It's a localized filter running directly on the OS of an individual server or workstation. It guarantees that even if a threat successfully breaches your corporate gateway or, originates from an infected laptop sitting at the very next desk over, the target device still has its own independent layer of zero-trust enforcement. It's completely independent of the overarching network topology. If we look at a local implementation, like a standard Mac OS X firewall, you can see exactly how these massive security concepts are applied directly to a single endpoint. It operates on that strict default discard posture we talked about, meaning you need explicit admin approval to open ports for services like SSH. And it even uses some pretty advanced tactics like stealth mode. Rather than politely sending a rejection response to an unauthorized ping request, stealth mode just drops the packet entirely. So, to an automated port scanner trying to sweep the local network for vulnerabilities, your machine looks like a total black hole. It completely masks its presence from potential lateral attacks. The reality of modern architecture is that the perimeter just isn't a single identifiable wall anymore. The perimeter is quite literally everywhere your data lives. A gateway appliance is an absolutely incredible, strictly necessary tool for filtering out the massive volume of internet noise. But true infrastructure security? That requires vigilance at every single layer of the OSI model, right down to the local machine. We have to design our networks assuming that the hard outer shell will eventually be breached, and build our interior defenses accordingly. Your private network has a firewall at the perimeter, but is your multi-layered security ready for the malware that's already inside the building? Keep that in mind. Thank you for exploring the architecture of network firewalls with me today. Stay secure, keep optimizing your environments, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.